Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're just having some technical difficulties. We'll get started in just a minute or so. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We were just having some technical difficulties. Just give me just a minute and we will go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us today. Alrighty. Awesome. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Looks like we're holding pretty steady at about 100 people here. We'll just give everybody just a couple more, maybe 30 seconds to join us. We'll go ahead and get started. As a quick reminder to everybody, please place your questions for the panelists in the Q&A and any technical assistance questions that you may have for me in the chat. And we will go ahead and get started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bree. Welcome, everybody. I saw some names in here, attendees that are some of our regulars and some new names today, too. So thank you so much for joining us today. This is the disaster relief loan updates. We go over everything, PPP, COVID EIDL, and more. I'll go through the agenda and you'll see how many things we're going to go through today. This is presented to you by the NorCal Finance Center. And housekeeping, Bree just went over the Q&A and the chat. So we go through questions through the Q&A. And then if you would like to please wait before we go through all the different sections, because we'll probably answer your questions during the presentation. The presentation is heavy with information. Please let us know before your question if you are asking about the PPP, EIDL, SVOG, RRF, or other. So that way we can answer your questions correctly. Today, Case Force is here as well, and I will introduce them in just a bit. Things are changing all the time. As you've been here before, you know this. This information provided was current as of last night. Next, please. Introductions. Northern California SBDC is producing this for you today, the Finance Center. We are supported by the SBA and also the state of California. This is how we're able to provide you no-cost advising, training, and workshops. The Finance Center, we help all small businesses with small business loans. I am the director, Sunita Maharaj. We have Steve Roth here, lending specialist. Bree Palmer, program assistant, and we also have 15 other lending specialists on our team that can assist. Next, please. Oh, I'd also like to introduce SBA support. Today, I believe Heather Lutzy will be here, the district director of the Sacramento district, Carrie Ellenwood, the deputy district director of the Sacramento district as well. I want to tell you a little bit about Northern California SBDC. We have 36 counties, 18 full centers, 6 satellite centers, 35 outreach locations, 2 tech programs, 6 affiliate programs, and a workforce of over 500 individuals. So we have the manpower to be able to help you. This is the information here to get started with the Finance Center and also to find your local center. So please go to these 2 different websites and you can sign up at Finance Simplified and you can look for other centers that are closest to you at norcalsbdc.org. Next, please. CaseForce is also here. I'm going to go through the disclaimer really quickly. The office hours are intended for resource for small businesses with fewer than 25 employees and nonprofits. They are not intended to offer legal advice, and the leaders of the office hours are not able to represent office hour participants as their attorneys. This session is intended to address issues related to the pandemic, and panelists aren't able to comment on general non-pandemic related issues. Next, please. I'd also like to introduce you to our 2 attorneys from the Case Force. Heidi Kim, attorney at Start Small, Think Big. If you've been here before, you know Heidi. She works on leases and real estate. She'll be able to answer some questions regarding that. Elise Hicks is also here from United Policyholders. Elise has been here with us before too, and she is all about insurance. Here's some more information. If you want to go to the resource guide, this is where you can find it there. We can also put this information in the, in the chat. And also it's going to be on the deck. If you complete the survey for us, we will be able to provide you this deck at the end. Next, please. Our agenda today, what's new? Go through a couple of things: California Relief Grant, the PPP, EIDL and Targeted EIDL Advance, SBA Debt Relief, the SVOG, the RRF, the ERC, SBA Team Updates, Case Force Attorney Coalition, upcoming webinars, and Q&A. We do go through the Q&A throughout the whole presentation. That's the only way that we are able to answer so many questions. We usually get between 100 and 150 questions during this webinar. So if we don't get to you, please be patient, we will. And now I am going to hand it over to Steve Roth, and he is going to go over the first section of the agenda. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks very much, Sunita. Good morning, everyone. So start off what's new. The Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. The application portal reopened on April 26th, and it seemed to work fine. I had a couple of clients who were able to register without any problems, and so that went well. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund is going to go operational starting on Monday, but registration begins Friday, April 30th. So what's recommended, if you're a restaurant, a caterer, a food truck, or any venue that qualifies under the restaurant program, you should go in on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, set up your account, go through the two-step authorization, and then when you log back in on Monday morning at 9 a.m., you'll be ready to go to enter your application information. So again, the registration will begin this Friday, April 30th. You can register on Friday or over the weekend, set up your authentication process, be ready to go on Monday morning. And the website's actually very, very well configured. I went through yesterday. Next one. For the California Relief Grant, we're almost at the end of the California Relief Grant program. The first 5 rounds are now closed. All of those letters have gone out. If you are waitlisted through round 5, you're automatically rolled forward to round 6. You can apply new to the program. It opens today, April 28th, and runs through May 4th. May 7th, notifications will begin going out. And as of now, this is the final round for the California Relief Grant. So again, 1 to 5 are closed. Round 6 opens today. You can apply if you haven't already. Next one. All communications relative to California Relief should go through Lindustry. And we've put up their toll-free number, as well as their email address. But all the applications go to Lindustry through their portal. Lindustry is the one who makes the grant decisions, and Lindustry is the one who sends out the email notices. Next one. Great. So for the PPP2 second draw that we're in now, next one. Great. So eligibility, you can apply for the second draw PPP loan through May 31st, 2021. As long as you apply by the end of May, you have all of June to get funded. So if there are any issues that come up, you and your lender have 1 month to get those issues ironed out. But obviously there's always a danger that funds will run out before May 31. So if you're going to apply for the second draw, you should do so now. You'll need your SBA application number from the first draw. There's a maximum loan amount this time of $2 million. It was $10 million the first time. 300 employees or less. It was 500 employees or less a year ago. And the key gating factor, though, for most small businesses is that 25% reduction in gross receipts between comparable calendar quarters, 2020 versus 2019. So that in any one calendar quarter, that's January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, or October, November, December, gross receipts need to be down by 25% or more to be eligible, but only for 1 quarter, not for the whole year, 1 quarter out of the 4. And you don't get any benefit for being 40% down. 25% or more, you're in. 25% or less in any 1 quarter, and you're unfortunately not. Next one. So if you previously received a PPP-1 loan, you know, you will or have had to have used the money in full before you get the second one. You can apply for the second one before it's done, but technically before you get funded the second time, you should have used the money from the first one. And remember, you can only use PPP for authorized use of funds. We'll go over that in a minute. You have to have been in business as of February 15th, 2020. And as part of your PPP-2 loan application, you'll be asked for some documentation to show that you were open in February of 2020. Typically, it's a bank statement, either one statement for the month of February or a statement from January to the first half of February, and then the second half of February to the 1st of March. This will all be laid out on your lender's website. You can look at the second draw application, but it's also available on every lender's portal, and you do apply through the lender. And remember, the second draw PPP loan is open to a wide variety of nonprofit organizations, veterans organizations. So it's open to more people than the first draw was. Look online and see if you fit into the process, or contact us. Next one. So the funding process for the second draw, the borrower applies for the PPP loan at their lender. You'll go on your lender's website. They'll have a portal. The portal will ask a couple of questions, and it'll vector you to either the first draw or the second draw. Depending upon which one you're in, you know, it'll ask the appropriate questions. They actually generally include calculators now and some other help devices to make the process easier. The lender reviews the application, works with you to gather all the documents that you need, make sure you're eligible, etc. And they'll do the underwriting questions, and they're the face of the program to you, the borrower. Once the lender approves the PPP-2 application, they send it off to the SBA. The SBA does its own review. If they approve it, they'll assign a loan guarantee number, email it back to the lender. If they deny the loan for some reason, they'll send that information back to the lender as well. If you're denied or approved, the lender is the one who's going to contact you, not the SBA. If you're approved, then the lender will generate the legal forms. You'll do an e-sign process, and they'll fund the loan usually within a day or two. And then the lender files what's called a 1502 form back with the SBA, and that closes the process. So you'll work with your lender going through this, and we'll help. Next one. Now, the process can take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. Depends on your lender, how busy they are, and what's happening. The SBA has been turning around loans very quickly. Someone I know was told by their bank that they had sent out their loan for approval on Monday, and by Tuesday morning, they'd already gotten the approval back. But in general, it takes 2 to 5 business days for the SBA to turn the loan around. So if something's happened and it's a very slow process, the chances are pretty good it's with your lender and not with the SBA. And remember, your lender is your point of contact for the process. So contact the lender, figure out what's going on, try and understand, you know, why they haven't processed it or where they are in doing it. And make sure you provide the lender with all the documents they need upfront, all the forms, the bank statements, etc. It'll make the process go much faster. Next one, Bree. And now, so remember, the process has been extended. The application ends in about, it's only 4 weeks, 5 weeks, the end of May. Some lenders had stopped taking new applications when the process stopped for a little while. Other lenders had stopped taking applications from non-banking clients, and some had not made updates for the self-employed process, which moved it from line 31 to line 7 on your Schedule C, but most lenders have now reopened, and I found that most have made the required changes. So there's no reason to wait because the program will close when funds are expended. And if you do have a problem finding a lender that is open to new clients or has made all the changes for self-employed people, then you should contact us, contact me, and we'll pivot you to someone who's made all the updates. Next one. So some frequently asked questions, should I apply for PP1 forgiveness now? And the answer is yes. Assuming you got your loan when most people did sometime in 2020, everything is now fixed in place. Apply for forgiveness today. It's a good thing to do. No reason to wait. Do you have to apply for the PPP2 loan with the lender you used the first time? The answer is you don't have to, but you should. They already have all your paperwork. It'll make the process a lot simpler, given that they know you are ready, but you do not have to. You can apply to a different lender if for some reason you're having a problem with your lender from the first draw. Can you apply for the loan with more than one lender? And the answer is yes, but it can get confusing because only one lender is going to get the SBA number and you may not know which one it is. So we've had examples of people who applied to 3 lenders only to find that they get a rejection notice from one lender. They're all upset. That's because the SBA guarantee has been given to one of the other 3. So it's better to go through the process with one lender, either the one you used before or a new one. Can you get more than one PPP2 loan? And the answer is no. Do you need to have been given forgiveness for the first loan to get the second loan? And the answer is no. You can apply for PPP2 without having applied for forgiveness for PPP1. And if you applied for forgiveness to the first one, it doesn't need to have gone through the whole cycle for you to be funded for the second one, right? They're separate processes. But again, there's no reason to wait to go for forgiveness. It's a good thing to do. Next one. Great. So this is an interesting one. If I didn't get a PPP1 loan, can I get a PPP2 loan? The answer is no, because by definition, you're a PPP1 borrower. So if you've never had a PPP loan before, when you go onto your lender's website, you'll be vectored to the PPP first draw application, which is a good thing because you don't need to prove a revenue decline. The first application is simpler than the second because the first one was open to everyone. The second one has the 25% revenue decline in one calendar quarter from 2019 to 2020. So it's a simpler process. Is forgiveness different for 1 versus 2? And the answer is no, they're the same process. Should you call the SBA if you have a problem? And the answer is no. Work through your lender. Your lender is designed to be your point person, your point entity for this. And obviously, the SBDC is here to help. How long does it take to get funded after you've been approved? And the answer is about 1 to 3 business days. I've had several clients get funded the same day. Others have taken another day or 2 to have the money show up. So you'll get a notice from your lender that you've been approved. Then the lender will send you the documents. You'll e-sign them. Once the documents are e-signed, you're funded. It's a very quick process, really. Can you correct an application after it's submitted? You realize something was wrong, something happened. And the answer is yes, but only until it is funded. And the 1502 form I mentioned before has been filed with the SBA. So you get 1 PPP2 loan per employer identification number or social security number. Once the PPP2 loan has been funded and recorded, it unfortunately can't be changed. So it makes sense to be careful. I've had some clients who lost out on up to $60,000 through clerical errors. Next one, Bree. So if you do have any questions or problems, get help. Get help before you file the application. Make sure you understand the numbers that are going in and cross-check them to make them correct. And if you haven't applied yet, why? There's only 5 weeks to go in the program now. until the end of May. And it certainly wouldn't be a fun thing to find out it ran out of money while you were in the process of putting in your application. Next one. So forgiveness terms, remember PPP2, like PPP1, is going to be spent primarily on payroll costs and other eligible expenses. So at least 60% of the proceeds of the loan are to be spent on payroll costs, and we'll touch on them in a minute. But payroll costs can be higher than 60%. They simply can't be lower than 60%. It's perfectly okay to spend 100% of the PPP1 loan or PPP2 loan on people costs. That's what they were really designed to do. Employee and compensation levels are going to be maintained in roughly the same manner as required for the first draw PPP loan. If you had a loan of under $150,000, there's a very simple, literally one-page forgiveness form called the 3508S. And when you're ready for forgiveness, you'll probably get an email from your lender telling you that it's time to apply because they'd like to get these processed as well. You'll go on to your lender's portal, you'll sign in, and then they'll ask a couple of questions and they'll vector you to the 3508S form. You don't have to download it off the web. You don't have to worry about it. It'll come, and most lenders are now pre-populating it with the information they have on file. And the 60-40 split still applies for both new and second draw PPP loans. Next one. Great. Forgiveness terms, remember, the idea behind the PPP loan was to maintain employment when employers did not have the funds to do that. And so you're looking at a formula based on full-time equivalent employees, and a full-time equivalent employee for federal purposes is 40 hours a week, and an average number of FTEs during the period versus the starting period. And the amount of forgiveness can be reduced, if the FTE count goes down or if wages went down. But remember, there is a whole series of what are called safe harbor rules that were put into effect last June to help employers, recipients of PPP loans, who for reasons outside of their control could not do everything that was intended in the original law. And safe harbor rules come from a nautical term. Ships were allowed to enter ports to escape storms, but even when they didn't have docking rights in the port, they could come in, they could anchor right out the storm, and then they could go back out again. So safe harbor rules were put in effect. And for the first one that went into effect was actually the $2 million rule. So anyone with a PPP loan of under $2 million is assumed to have needed the money without access to external resources. Next one, Bree. So remember, safe harbor rules are designed to help recipients of PPP loans in circumstances beyond your reasonable control. Your FTEs were reduced because the government ordered your restaurant to close, or they cut your capacity in half, or your nail salon was shut down for 2/3 of the year, or you couldn't bring in people because they didn't want to work, in an environment before the vaccines, or salaries and wages went down through no fault of your own. Anyway, there are 4 major safe harbor provisions, which are all designed to help you increase your forgiveness if one of these uncontrollable events happen to you. The forms and explanations are all available online. Your lenders are now all skilled with this, and obviously, we can help you as well. Next one. So how to calculate your loan for corporations. Remember, borrowers can calculate their aggregate payroll costs using data from either the prior 12 months or from calendar 2019. And you can use whichever variant gives you the higher PPP loan amount. There's a special criteria, which I won't go into all the detail, but if you're a seasonal business, you run a summer camp, for example, or you have a winter swimming program, but they don't run all year long, there are ways to then, take care of your payroll costs so you get an annualized benefit from it. But if you weren't in business before the original one on February 15th, 2019 to June 30th of 2019, then you can use your average payroll costs for the period from early January through early February of 2020. Oh, hang on. One of the advantages of working from home is the lawnmower guy. So how to calculate your maximum loan amount is now basically in every lender's website. So it's very easy now. There are calculators built in. Next one. Great. And if you're a sole proprietor, there was a major change a couple of weeks ago, which is to everyone's advantage. You now can use line 7 on your Schedule C rather than line 31. Line 31 is the net profit from your business activity, whereas line 7 is your gross profit from your business activity. So you can use whichever is higher, and for most everybody, line 7 will be higher than line 31. So you take line 7, divide it by 12, that gives you your monthly average, to multiply that by 2.5. If you are in the hospitality business, which is an SIC code of 72, you can multiply by 3.5. So if you're a sole proprietor of a business, your maximum amount is going to be $20,833, unless you're in the broadly defined hospitality business, where your maximum amount will be $29,167. And so for most everyone, the banks will require for the second draw that you have a pro forma 2020 Schedule C, which you really should have anyway, since we're supposed to file our tax returns in mid-May. You should be able to do this now, because they'll want to see your 2020 Schedule C if you're going to use that as the basis for the borrowing. If you're going to borrow off of 2019, then you can just use the one you submitted the first time. Next one. And again, this is what the Schedule C looks like. Every self-employed person, independent contractor fills this out. Your net profit from your Schedule C flows into your income for your 1040 form. And you'll be using gross income as opposed to net income. Much better. Next one. So look for the new and updated PPP2 sole proprietor form on your lender's website. Check with your lender if you don't see it. Find a lender who does have the new formula as part of their PPP2 application and is taking non-bank clients. We know people, so if you do have a problem, feel free to email me and I'll vector you to someone who can help you. But definitely run it both ways. Run if your lender doesn't have it and it's not a big difference, you may want to do it anyway. But either way, we can help you. So look for a lender who can do line 7 rather than line 31. Next one. Thanks. Again, some PPP draw limitations. The maximum second PPP loan, is going to be 2.5 times your average monthly payroll costs, which include healthcare costs and a few other things. If you're in the hospitality business, you're a caterer, a restaurant, a hotel, you can use 3.5 times your average monthly payroll costs. Casinos, food service, etc. Maximum loan amount is $2 million. Next one. Great. So the allowable use of proceeds, remember, payroll costs, minimum 60%, no maximum. Payroll costs can be 100% of the use of funds. You can also pay interest on mortgage obligations and other business debt that you incurred before February of 2020. You can use it to pay your current period rents and utilities. Utilities are broadly defined, and there'll be a definition of utilities on your lender's website. If you're in a business that's required upgraded personal protective equipment, masks and gowns and face shields, etc., then those costs can be allocated to PPP, as well as several other things. And for eligible payroll costs, it's not just salary and wages, but it's salary, wages, commissions, or any similar compensation, including the payment of cash tips. but it includes vacation, parental family leave, sick leave. If you fire someone and you have to pay them for their accrued vacation time, that counts. If you're gonna separate someone, group health benefits, including employer insurance premiums, retirement benefits, and then state and local taxes for payroll are all included in payroll costs. So it's more than just paying someone a salary. It's a salary plus most of the payroll loading that goes into it. So in general, it's at least 15 and often 22% more than the base salary. Next one. Right, additional eligible expenses. If you have to buy software for your business, you can include that. Cloud computing costs. If you had to augment your accounting staff because you're doing all this work, you had to ask your accountant, CPA, bookkeeper to run some extra time, and they're not on payroll. They're part of the 40% other costs. Property damage costs can be covered. Covered supplier cost if you expenditures to a supplier pursuant to a contract or a purchase order, something physical and inside the use of funds period. And then, as I said, any PPE, any personal protective equipment. So next one. Great. So major updates. Remember, the idle advance will not be deducted from your PPP forgiveness. Your idle advance happened a year ago. When you applied for the idle loan, if you checked a box that said, I'd like the emergency advance, and you listed a number of employees, you could get up to $1,000 per employee listed. And that was deposited in as the idle advance. That became a grant. The covered period is between 8 and 24 weeks. Everybody has the ability to select 24-week use of funds period. For most businesses, it makes a lot of sense to take the longer period because it gives you more time to use the funds appropriately. Group insurance, vision, dental are now eligible expenses. And then if you did repay your first PPP loan super early, like in May of 2020, you can have, there is a safe harbor provision for that. Next one. Right, and PPP is tax-free. So you don't have to count it as income. You don't count it as income for the other government programs under the various CARES and COVID acts. It's also excluded from California taxes up to $150,000. And yet, remember, the expenses you claim against the PPP loan as part of your forgiveness also count as expenses against your business. So you get to count the expenses for both, but you don't count the income for your tax purposes. No? Great. Just, keep all your documents, probably for a total of 4 years, but, your payroll records, employee tax benefits, utilities, rents, mortgage interest, et cetera, everything associated with forgiveness, just tuck it away in a separate file for 4 years. And in general, you have to do that anyway. Most tax records are required to be kept for 7 years. Next one. So PPP versus idle. Remember, PPP is forgivable. If any portion of it is not forgiven, it becomes a 1% loan. The interest rate's fixed. There's a 2 to 5 year term, but everyone would likely take 5 years. Use of funds, payroll costs, mortgage interest, rent, utility expenses, as we discussed. You apply through an SBA approved lender, and there's no collateral required. The idle, the economic injury disaster loan, idle, is not forgivable. There's a 3.75% interest for a for-profit and a 2.75% interest for a nonprofit. The funds have a 30-year term, fixed interest rates, and those funds are designed to be used for working capital, inventory, fixed debt payments, and all normal business working capital expenditures. And for the idle loan, you apply directly to the SBA at sba.gov. And loans over $200,000 are only loans over $200,000 are secured by any kind of a UCC filing. UCC stands for Uniform Commercial Code. So in general, the loans will not be secured. Next one. So some things to remember, try not to get too lost in or about the PPP program. PPP was designed to help millions of companies, sole proprietors, and contractors across the entire United States. It's a big, big program. And it makes the most sense when you think about it as something designed to help employers maintain employment, keep people on salary, and help sole proprietors maintain their income through, an unusual period of time, to say the least. Keep your documents for 4 years. PPP 1 forgiveness is open and working well, and your lender is your point of contact. Next one. Most PPP borrowers have and will receive significant forgiveness. I've had over 250 clients go through this, and in general, all of them have had the vast majority of their PPP forgiven. The 24-week use of funds period versus 10 weeks of funding makes it easy to use the funds appropriately. Sole proprietors, contractors, self-employed people should all get 100% forgiveness just because of the time period. The idle advance is a grant, not deducted from your forgiveness calculation. And the unforgiven portion of the PPP loan will become a 5-year term loan at 1%. It's not going to be a big deal. PPP is not personally guaranteed so long as it's used for the intended purposes. And if you need to find a new lender for the sole proprietor borrowing formula, do so if it's to your advantage, and we can help you do that. Next one. So remember, PPP has been a world-class program. This has been a true home run. 10 million PPP loans have been made for about $800 billion. I'm sure one of the SBA folks can update my numbers, which are probably old now, with a very high level of forgiveness. So don't miss out. The program is going to end in 5 weeks. If you haven't applied for your first PPP loan, why not? If you got the first one and you haven't applied for the second one, please don't delay. Apply now. Next one. Thank you very much. I'll pass it back to Sunita. I'll answer some questions.
Thank you so much, Steve. I tried to answer as many as I could. There were some really good questions in there. Some of them makes you really think, because I'm not quite sure. Next, please. We are going to go over the EIDL appeal program, targeted EIDL advance, SBA debt relief, the RRF, the SVOG, and the ERC. I know we have a lot of questions in the Q&A right now in regards to the appeal process. We'll probably try to answer them all at once because it's in regards to timing. So, and then we'll get together with SBA and find out if there's any more information in regards to timing on that. Next, please. Thank you. EIDL program, apply now. It's opened again. So if you have not applied for the EIDL loan, you can do so now. You can go to sba.gov and that's where you can apply. And only one EIN or social security number can be used. Next, please. So the EIDL increase limit, I know Steve maybe have gone through that just really briefly. It went from 150,000 all the way up to 500,000. Businesses should be receiving an email from SBA. The email should contain sba.gov. If it does not contain sba.gov at the end, then please don't answer to it, but you should be receiving an sba.gov email for increases. And then if you haven't yet, then you can connect with us and then we could possibly give you another route on how to do that. So it can be increased all the way to $500,000. So any new loan applications or any loans in process when the new loan limits are implemented will automatically be considered for the new loan amount of $500,000. Next, please. EIDL payments. Great news, loans received in 2020, your first payment date is extended to 24 months from the date you receive funds. Previously, it was 12 months, but they have extended that out to 24 months. Loans received in 2021, your first payment date is going to be 18 months from the date you receive the funds. So that's great news too. I do want to let you know that interest accrues from the day that you receive the loan. So I want you to be sure that you know this information. Next, please. Idle appeal process. You have up to 6 months to get reconsideration on declined loans or loan increases. I know that some people have waited a little bit longer than this. It is okay, but you do have to provide explanation on why you waited. If you waited because you wanted to see if the amount that you received was going to last long enough to hold you off, but indeed it did not, that you can put as an explanation. Or regards to a decline, you're working on your credit, you're working on what the decline was, and it did take you some time. So those are some of the explanations that you can use, and you can use other explanations too, but I'm just thinking, you know, these are usually the two that I see most. If you applied for EIDL and were denied, do not reapply. Please go through this process of reconsideration, because it's just going to confuse the system and it's just going to delay it even more. Second application will get flagged. The appeal process is working. I know it is taking some time. I'm hoping that maybe with things, not so many new applications are coming through, or not so many reconsiderations are coming through, that process is not going to take as much time. SBA's team will let you know what documents are needed, and you can also contact us, your advisor at the SBDC, and we can give you a list of those documents as well. Next, please. The SBA will reach out to you in regards to the targeted EIDL advance. This is not something that you would apply for through the SBA portal. You have to be invited to do so, and then you would apply. So via email, again, sba.gov is the email that you're going to be looking for. Please look in your spam, please look in your junk email for this. It will, the things that you're gonna need, or the things that they look at, are in a low income community, suffered greater than 30% economic loss, has 300 or fewer employees. So those who applied for an EIDL advance but didn't receive funds due to the lack of funding, which did happen towards the end, will receive a full $10,000 if they meet the same criteria as above for the targeted EIDL advance funding. Next, please. Items needed for verification. These are things that you're going to need to be able to get the targeted EIDL advance. Your 2019 federal tax return. If you have not filed it yet, then that can be holding you up. That will hold you up. So recommended to have it on hand when applying. Also EIN, Social Security number as specified in the original EIDL application. Monthly gross receipts for 2019, 2020, and any months completed in this year, 2021. Confirm information in the original EIDL application is still accurate. Changes may require a manual review and documentation, which is going to hold up your application. You can make changes, but just know that it's going to just prolong the application process. Applicants that pass the initial eligibility requirements will be required to sign the 4506T for the SBA to obtain tax transcripts before the agency can approve this advance. And they will provide you the one that you need to use. I know that everybody just goes to, a lot of people are going to the IRS website and collecting that one, but that is not the one that they are using. They're using one specific to the EIDL advance. Next, please. All borrowers who qualify for the loans approved by the SBA prior to March 27th, 2020 will receive an additional 2 months of payments on principal and interest. So starting February 2021, it looks like this is going to be expired, so I will update this information, but this is on SBA debt relief. These are some things that SBA is also doing to help small businesses. Underserved borrowers, namely the smallest and hardest hit, will receive an additional 3 months, so a total of 5 months of relief for P&I payments. Community Advantage and loans and microloans approved by SBA prior to March 27th, 2020 will receive 5 months P&I payments. SBA payments of the principal and interest on the first 3 months of any newly approved loans will resume for all loans approved between February 1st and September 30th, 2021. All of this is capped at $9,000 per month. So that is what SBA is going to pay towards your P&I is $9,000 a month. If there's any other money that's owed, you would owe that money on a monthly basis. This is subject to availability of funds. No worries, Bree. Next, please. Loan enhancement. So SBA during this time is also waiving borrower and lender SBA fees for the 7A and the 504 loan programs. That's a huge savings. Some bank fees may still apply, so you'll have to talk to your bank or lender and find out which fees they're still going to assess. The loan guarantee is increased from 75% to 90% for the lender. So SBA is trying to get lenders to keep lending money to small businesses. And this is some of the things that they're doing to assist that. Next, please. We're going to go over the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And there are a lot of questions in regards to this too. We're going to briefly go over this. I do want to let you know, we presented this last Wednesday. And last Wednesday, I believe Bree is going to put a link in the chat for you. So that way you can see it there. I'm not sure if we still have, do we have the copy of the deck as well? Perfect. Bree's going to put the deck on there too. We are going to have another RRF webinar tomorrow with our restaurant group, and then we will have another one with the Finance Center next Wednesday. Steve will be there tomorrow as well to go over the application as he did previously. So the application portal opens up to, not tomorrow, sorry, thought it was what, Thursday. It's opening up Friday, so April 30th for registration. So you can register on the 30th, which would be a great idea to do. So that way you can go through and look at exactly what it is that you're going to need. And then on Monday, you're going to be prepared to apply. So you're going to know how to answer the questions correctly. You're not going to get tripped up on all the documents that you need because during the registration process, it shows you everything. All this information is also provided at sba.gov. It has all the information that you're going to need to be able to apply. The American Rescue Plan established the RRF to provide funding to help restaurants and other eligible businesses keep their doors open. This program will provide restaurants with funding equal to their pandemic-related revenue loss, up to $10 million per business and no more than $5 million per location, physical location. Recipients are not required to repay the funding as long as the funds are used for eligible uses no later than March 11th, 2023. So that's March 11th, 2023. So you have a few years to be able to use these funds. Next, please. Who can apply? Restaurants, food stands, food trucks, food carts, caterers, bars, saloons, lounges, taverns, snack and non-alcoholic beverage bars like coffee shops, ice cream shops, bakeries, brew pubs, tasting rooms, tap rooms, breweries and microbreweries, wineries, distilleries, inns, licensed facilities on premises of a beverage alcohol producer where the public may taste, sample, and purchase products. Do want to let you know though that the on-site sales to the public must comprise of at least 33% of gross receipts. So that is food and beverage of 33% of gross receipts. Next, please. How to apply? You can apply directly via SBA online application portal and directly through your point of sale systems if you use Square or Toast. Also, the POS systems Clover and Aloha, which is the NCR corporation, will have the documents you will need to upload into the SBA portal. So that is great. So if you already use Square, which a lot of restaurants that I go to, it seems like they are using Square, you can go directly there. You don't have to register first. You can just go to straight application, 9 a.m. on Monday morning. Not required. Registration with sam.gov is not required. And the DUNS or cage identifiers. If you don't know what that is, you don't need to know. You don't need those for this RRF application. If you would like to prepare your application, view the sample application form online. You will be able to complete this form online. Please do not submit the RRF forms to SBA at this time. Monday morning, that's when we're going to do it. So 9 a.m. As you know, with the SVOG, there were some hiccups there. It did take a little while to get that up and going, and we don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping for the best, that everyone's going to be able to get in there and apply, and there will be no system issues. So when to apply? Everyone can apply on day one. All applicants can apply when the portal opens, but there is a priority period. So the first 21 days of the fund awards, during this period, SBA will fund applications where the applicant has self-certified that it meets the eligibility requirements for a small business owned by a woman, a veteran, or socially and economically disadvantaged individual. This is something you would self-certify, and I would suggest that you be as upfront and truthful as your business is run. So make sure that information is correct. What you don't want is to have to owe all this money back. Second priority, days 22 through funds exhaustion, SBA will accept applications from all eligible applicants and process applications in the order in which they are approved by SBA. Next, please. Your priority groups, a small business concern that is at least 51% owned by one of the following: a woman, veteran, socially and economically disadvantaged. We'll go over what that means a little bit just in another sentence here. Applicants must self-certify. Socially disadvantaged individuals are those who have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias because of their identity as a member of a group without regarding to their individual qualities. Economic disadvantaged individuals are those socially disadvantaged individuals who whose ability to compete in the free enterprise system has been impaired due to diminished capital credit opportunities as compared to others in the same business area. There is more information on SBA.gov as well in regards to these two, and you can read that there. We just put this briefly in here because we're trying to get through so many different loan funds and loans and grants. Next, please. Funding amount. So this is how you're going to calculate your funding amount. For calculation one, applicants in operation prior to or on January 1st, 2019. 2019 gross receipts minus subtract 2020 gross receipts minus subtract your PPP loan amounts. That's even your forgivable loan amount. So it's whatever you receive for PPP, you have to subtract that out. And that is going to be your fund amount or your direct payment. Next, please. Your payment calculation two for applicants that began operation partially through 2019. Average 2019 monthly gross receipts times 12 minus 2020 gross receipts minus PPP loan amounts. Next, please. Your calculation three for applicants that began operation on or between January 1st, 2020 and March 10th, 2021, and applicants not yet opened but have incurred eligible expenses. Amount spent on eligible expenses between February 15th, 2020 and March 11th, 2021 minus 2020 gross receipts minus PPP loan amounts. For those entities who began operations partially through 2019, you may elect at your own discretion to use either calculation 2 or 3. Next, please. We're going to go through the SVOG next. You must sign up for the SVOG through sam.gov first. So if you have not done so, please do that. It is taking some time. I believe they're allowing you now to be able to state that, yes, you have signed up, because it is taking some time to get through that process when you're applying. So apply now. Grants are available to eligible venue operators, promoters, theatrical producers, live performing arts operators, museum operators, motion picture operators, and talent representatives who demonstrate a revenue reduction. The processing period is as follows. It's 1 through 14 days of the program. Grants will be awarded to venues with a minimum 90% revenue loss. I believe they're going to restart this time. You know, it was open one day and then it opened again this Monday. So I would assume that they're going to restart that time, but we can double check also with SBA Carrie. Second 14 days, grants awarded for 70% revenue loss. And then after that 28 days, grants will be awarded to venues with less than 70% revenue loss. Initial grant can be $10 million with a supplemental at 50% of the first grant. $2 billion has been set aside for entities with 50 or less employees, and the SV entities can receive this grant, but if they do not, they are not eligible for the new PPP loan. So if you've already applied for a PPP loan and you're going to then apply for the SVOG this year, you can do that. But if you apply for the SVOG, you cannot then apply for the PPP. Next, please. The SVOG continued. This grant is going to be administered by the SBA, the ODA office, and it is at sba.gov is where you can find the portal for the SVOG. The grant amount in general will be 45% of the gross earned revenue in 2019. The venue was in operation January 1st, 2019. You calculate the average monthly gross revenue for each full month in operation during 2019 and multiply that by 6. Applicants must have been in operation on February 29th, 2020. That is a hard stop date. You have to have been in business February 29th, 2020 for this particular grant. You can apply if you received an EIDL loan and or a PPP loan in 2020 or 2021. The SVOG can be used for specific expenses such as payroll, rent, utilities, and some other costs to be determined. The SBA will publicize it is actually reopened as of Monday. Next, please. This is just a list again of who can apply, which I just went over in the last slide, but I just wanted to put it here so in bullet points. You know, museum operators, zoos, aquariums who meet specific criteria. Each business entity owned by an eligible entity that also meets the eligibility requirements. Next, please. The employee retention credit. We're going to go over that as well briefly. What is the ERC? It's a refundable payroll tax credit that is offset against certain employment payroll taxes. Rules and qualifications and tax credit amounts are slightly different from 2020 and 2021. Which businesses qualify? Employers that operated during calendar year 2020 and experienced either full or partial suspension of the business in Q2, Q3, and Q4 of 2020 and or Q1, 2 of 2021 because of government orders limiting commerce, travel, or group meetings due to COVID-19. Or in 2020, quarterly gross receipts less than 50% of the gross receipts in the same calendar year in 2019. Or 2021 quarterly gross receipts less than 80% of the gross receipts in the same calendar year in 2019. Employers not operating in 2019 may use the same calendar quarter in 2020 or the immediately preceding calendar quarter to measure the gross receipt decline. Employers may qualify for the ERC even if you received first and second PPP loans. Self-employed income does not qualify. Next, please. So I know it's been a long, like almost an hour here that we're going at this. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand this over to SBA, and I believe Carrie Ellenwood is here.
Hello, Sunita and everyone. Thank you. I am here just working on getting myself visible to you all so you can see what's going on. So welcome, as Sunita said, this has been quite a bit of information for you. I'm going to give you a quick update on SBA and maybe I can help answer some of the other questions in regarding the RRF and SVOG. So one thing that I do want to impress upon you in regarding the RRF is that we do have some webinars coming up here in the local area virtually. And we have one on Thursday at 9 in the morning, and we have another one at 3 p.m. on Thursday. So if you're interested in those, please go to sba.gov/ca/Sacramento, take a look at our calendar, and you can register for those webinars. We will be going over the Restaurant Relief Fund again with information similar to what Sunita has provided. And if there's anything new between now and then, we certainly will cover that for you as well. The thing that is key in this process is Friday, when that opens for you to put in your information. I strongly encourage you to do that. so that when Monday comes around and the program is open to take applications, you will be all set and ready to go. You'll know what your list of information is that you need. You'll have it right there by you so you can take care of getting that application in as soon as possible. If you are in one of the targeted groups, so that's the disadvantaged, minority businesses, women-owned businesses, and veteran-owned businesses, you need to be 51% in those categories. So for example, if you have a 20% owner who's a woman-owned portion of the business, you have a 30% that's a veteran-owned, and you have another 10% that is a minority-owned business, all of those can be combined to meet that 51% requirement. So please do consider all aspects of that part of the application. The other thing, because that will get you into that first 21 days. The other thing that is really important is do not change your business structure. If you're not already in that 21-day set-aside group, and you make that change now, your application will be rejected. So please don't try and change it now to get in. That's not going to work for you. SBA has some controls in place to look out for that. In terms of the SVOG, that has reopened. We have had thousands of applications come through that portal with success for those venues. So, please, if you are in that area, please do apply through that portal. It is up and running. And again, SVOG up and running, RRF starting the 31st on Friday. You can put in your information. Monday, submit your applications. We have all of this information on the SBA website with special pages just for RRF and SVOG. If you are looking for the RRF information, I encourage you to review the guide. There are actually some actual shots of the portal that you'll be working through there for you to look at to get a little familiar with it. So please do take the time over the weekend before Monday to take a look at those. In terms of our Paycheck Protection Program, we have guaranteed more than 5 million of those loans for over $248 billion in 2021. So that program still is alive and well, and we are working with our lenders, accepting applications. The program is slated to run through May 31st, although there is a lot of usage in the program. So don't wait, don't hesitate, get your application in with your lender and do that as quickly as you can, because if the funds run out prior to May 31st, then your application would not be able to be accepted. So it's based on not only on that deadline, but also on the funds availability that Congress has allocated. There is for the RRF an special 800 number that's on the website. So if you do get into that portal on Monday, have some questions about your process, they have that in 12 different languages. They also have flyers in different languages as well. So if you want to go to the website, English is not your first language, there is information out there for you as well. That's all I had for a quick update for today, and I'm happy to entertain questions, Sunita, if there's anything I can help you with.
Perfect, Carrie. There were a lot of questions in regards to the timing of EIDL reconsideration. Some people have stated that it's been taking quite a long time. Some is, since last year. What can we do, or how can we help with that? Or what can we do as well?
Well, there's not a lot that I can do in terms of trying to expedite someone who's in that process. Those are being processed as quickly as we can. As I mentioned previously, we've had less than 2,000 employees. Once the COVID started, we've added thousands of employees in the disaster area to help process these. So it's important that you continue to follow up with that. If you can go and email them again, do so. And if you get no response from that, and it's been since the summertime, if you want to send me an email, I'll see what I can do. I'm not sure there's much that I can do if it has not been addressed yet, but I certainly will do what I can to work with you on those. I have some limited access and could assist with that If you've been waiting since last year, certainly we need to take a look at that. I do know there's a heavy volume of reconsiderations in those. Also with the new EIDL, targeted EIDL advance requests coming in, as well as the additional $5,000 targeted advance for businesses that have suffered, I think it's more than 50%, and in a low income area. And that income area is defined on the SBA website. So it's not your typical census tract. It's a definition that was put together by IRS. So you'll need to go to our website to see if you're even eligible for that portion of that EIDL.
Perfect, Carrie. Thank you so much. Somebody was asking in regards to the RRF if there's going to be a FAQ, and I'm not sure why they changed the name, and it's now called the RRF Knowledge-Based Support Documentation. I know they've taught us all this time it's called the FAQ, and they're just changing it up on us. It is actually on the website and is under Get Help with Your Application. It's right above the call center support number, which is 1-844-279-8898, and the FAQ/RRF knowledge-based support documentation is on the website as well. So Lori, I hope that helps. There's also the program guide as well that you can go in there, and there's lots of great information on that. The support document, or the FAQ as they call it, this one is not a PDF form. It actually is in the system, and then it's easy to search the words that you need, you know, so maybe there's different things that you want to search. So it's right on the website. It's right under Get Help with Your Application.
And that, excuse me, Sunita, that is updated almost daily. We did have some RRF calls at the national level, and they've gotten feedback and questions, and they are updating that document. So please continue to go there to look for resources. It's not static. They are adding new questions and new information for you as we have those come to us here at the SBA.
Thank you, Carrie. TCB is asking, will Governor Newsom sign the California AB 80 this week? Many California firms are waiting to file their taxes based on this information and the PPP forgiveness or not. And TCB, I do not know the answer to that. You know, it would be great if that were happening this week, but I don't know if anybody else has any other insight, which I doubt, but maybe they do. So I'll just throw it out there. Yeah, we don't know, you know, I'm sure you're hoping, I'm sure a lot of small businesses are hoping. Of course, we're hoping for you as well, but unfortunately, we don't know the answer to that. But thank you very much for the question. Do we have any other questions? It looks like we've already gone through 101 questions. Steve Roth is a machine at answering these questions. Thank you so much, Steve. There's no way we could do this without you, so thank you. What exactly is socially disadvantaged? So on the website, it shows exactly who those persons are. And if I find it, I will put it in here under the question, because I know there is a list.
There is a list on the website, and also there is a self-certification there for you as well. So yes, please do take a look at that list on the website.
Okay, thank you. Steve does rock. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Juan and Christine. I concur wholeheartedly. So Tariff, I'm going to see if I can find that for you online, and then I will send it back to you. I think it's in the program guideline. So you guys, if you would like, you're welcome. What is the certification for disadvantaged businesses? You have to certify on the RRF if you are any of those, you know, what they're looking at, or the EIDL. The EIDL is different. So RRF and the EIDL are two different things. The RRF is asking you specific questions, and the EIDL is going to ask you other questions. So they are different. Thank you, Lori. We appreciate you being here. Great questions, making us think. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Simi, I have foregone paying myself in order to pay company expenses. No 940 or 941s. Filings, I have 1120 returns for the period. Simi, can you please let us know which loan program you're talking about so that way we can answer the question correctly, unless somebody else on the panel understands the question. Next, Bree. Thank you. So let's go over the upcoming webinars really quickly. And then, sorry, I got stuck there a little bit answering these questions. Upcoming webinars, we're still going to keep continuing our COVID disaster loan updates with CaseForce on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of every month until, I believe we are out until June at this point in time. And then the RRF is next week as well. So the 5th and the 19th. Own and invest in commercial real estate, which Steve is also putting on, and that's going to be May 11th. And Expansion Capital, Steve is also putting that on May 25th. If you want to watch any of our older the greatest hits, I guess, you can go to learn at learn.norcalsbdc.org. Not all of our webinars are on there, but I guess the best of is on there. You can go to the calendar as well if you wanted to look at sbdc.events network calendar to see what's going on within our centers and also regionally. Next, please. And of course, Heidi Kim is here today, attorney at Start Small, Think Big. I believe she's been answering some questions, and Elise Hicks is here as well. I'm not sure if they have anything that they would like to talk about before we continue with Q&A, but you know, we can just go from here. Just let me know.
Yep, we can just go straight to the Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Next, please. So of course, you can always reach out to us at AskSBDC.com. I'm sorry, at loans@AskSBDC.com if you have further questions for us, and we will try and get you help there, or Espanol@AskSBDC.com. 833-AskSBDC, you can use that as well, but the best bet is to go through loans@AskSBDC.com to be able to assist you with your questions after this webinar. See here. PPP question, can I apply for FTE Safe Harbor if we were never allowed to open during our coverage period? I would connect with us to make sure that we're gonna, we'll walk you through the application process for the forgiveness. So how was the money spent? That's the question. If you weren't able to open, you could have still paid employees though. So that really was the intention of the PPP, is to keep people employed even though you were not able to open. Vivian, I just had a client say that they couldn't apply for PPP1 forgiveness because they are sole prop and don't file quarterly estimates. I don't think this was correct. Can you please clarify again? They can apply through their lender for forgiveness. They just have to do that through their lender. So it depends on the lender. Some lenders are still not ready. I'm not sure why some of the larger lenders are not ready for forgiveness yet. So they should be able to use the 3508S if it's 150 and under for forgiveness. So they can just start with that and fill that out. The lender may not accept it, but at least they'll have all their questions answered there. So once they can apply for forgiveness, they can do it there. Now, if they're wanting to apply for PPP2, you don't need forgiveness first. You just had to make sure that everything is spent correctly before you can apply for PPP2. You are very welcome. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Appreciate it. I still need to get the information. I'm going to put it in the chat once I get it for the person that was asking in the different things. It's under. Karen is asking, hoping the real estate attorney can answer the question, can my commercial landlord evict me now for being way behind in rent due to COVID, although now we reopened and hope to start paying rent?
So Karen, I can answer that. Depending on what city you're in, if you can type what city you're in, that would be extremely helpful, because there are eviction moratoriums currently in place in a number of California cities, in I know in San Jose, San Francisco, the eviction moratorium goes through June 30th. And so what that means is a landlord cannot evict you or your business from that space. Of course, you know, you still owe the rent. And now that you're reopened, it might be a good idea to approach your landlord and just talk about negotiating how you're going to pay that back rent. You know, we've had clients negotiate, you know, take the entire amount due and kind of divide it over the next 2 years, 3 years, whatever numbers work for you. And go for there. I think negotiations are always the first step. Hopefully you have a decent relationship with your landlord. I see Karen says she's in Westlake Village. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Westlake Village. It does sound to me like it's a smaller town, so I'm not sure if there is an eviction moratorium in place. You will have to check with your city online, and that should be pretty easy to do.
Thank you, Heidi.
Are there any pro bono orgs to help small businesses, sole props with landlord issues and guidance? Yes, my organization, Start Small, Think Big. Let me type in our website where you can go and apply to become a client. If you meet our eligibility requirements, you get free legal services regarding anything related to small business, including landlord-tenant issues, free for 1 year.
Thank you, Heidi. Let's see here. You are welcome, Vivian. Elise is answering that. Thank you very much, Elise, for answering that question. Regarding attorney question, can my commercial land, okay, I guess we went over that. Sorry about that. Let's see here. The other questions are being answered by our panelists. So thank you so much to Elise and Steve. Any more other questions today before we head out? And I did put the information that somebody had asked for in regards to the social disadvantaged individuals and economically disadvantaged individuals and what the meanings are, the further meanings. That is actually located in the RRF program guide. It's not on the website information, but it is within the guide. Can you use funds from PPP to pay salaries for a related entity? If that entity did not ask for the PPP, then no, it would be the entity that you asked for the that applied for the PPP. You are welcome, Juan. Thank you. Any more questions? Wait one more minute and then we will take off. That information is in the chat, Tara. You can also go to the program guideline in the RRF for that information. I will post it again under here for you, but you can get that information online. Juan, if that entity didn't apply for the PPP, then they wouldn't be able to spend the PPP on another business. I am a sole prop with no employees can apply for PPP. Absolutely, you would use the Schedule C just like Steve had shown you previously. If you need additional help, Tasha, please reach out to us and we can help you. If you don't already have an advisor, please go to norcalsbdc.org and please sign up for services at no cost and we'll be happy to help. You'd want to do that as soon as possible though, because funds could run out at any time. We appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you so much for attending. As always, We look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday. We thank everybody, Steve Roth, Bree Palmer, Elise Hicks, Heidi Kim, Carrie Ellenwood, and Sandra also. Thank you everyone for being here today. And thank you to all attendees and for hanging out with us on another Wednesday. We'll see you again. Take care.